Don't be afraid to ask the kids, ask them for anything, like anything that they think might make the program better, or anything that they might need.
Hi, everyone. This is Libby Pacheco from the THSCA. Welcome to Season 4 of the Coach's Call podcast. This season, we'll keep delivering content to help you tackle all the different aspects of coaching, from the personal side of what it means to lead to the professional challenges we know you face every day. With basketball and soccer seasons upon us, we want to encourage everyone to stay connected and engage with the Texas way. This program is designed to foster positive sportsmanship across the state, and we're already seeing that positive impact in our fall sports. Positive sportsmanship is something our students, schools, and communities value deeply. So let's continue building on the momentum so we can ensure it remains a core part of Texas athletics. Finally, as leaders in community, education-based athletics, we encourage you to shine a light on all the good things happening in your program. Today, more than ever, it's important to show how athletics positively impact students, schools, and communities. Whether it's the hard work, character, or achievements, every day brings something worth celebrating. So don't let those moments go unnoticed and unshared. When you share your stories, you're helping build support for programs and strengthen our communities across the entire state. Thank you for tuning in, for supporting the podcast, and all you do to support the THSCA. Together, we will continue to help coaches help kids.
Did you know that you can use podcasting to not only share the great news about your athletes and your programs, but as a fundraiser for your booster club? Yes, Lone Star Gridiron produced the 5th podcast in history and has been doing it 20 years. We are expanding now to do shows outside of football. So whatever your sport, reach out to us at 713-269-4620. And we'll discuss how you can use this amazing tool to supercharge your program. And the best part, we do all the heavy lifting. Text your name and school to 713-269-4620. All right. Welcome back to the Coach's Call. I'm Chris Daly. I want to welcome you back. Today, as usual, I have some great guests. But I'm going to hand the mic over to Coach John Snelson, who's going to be kind of our MC, our master of ceremonies and questionnaire. Coach Snelson, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, you bet. So we're going to talk about exit interviews, and I'm just going to be the fly on the wall and listen up. So you can take it over and introduce your guests.
Awesome. All right. Today, guys, we've got Coach Heather Sanders. She is the head volleyball coach and the assistant AD at Canyon High School in Comal ISD, and one of my really good friends, Russell Lucas, who was the AD and the head football coach at Sweetwater ISD. So you guys doing okay today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. It's a pretty cool opportunity. So, hey, we're going to get right into this. I'm not going to have both of you answer the same question because it'll kind of drag out. So I'm going to ask each person one, but if there's something that you want to add to a question that you weren't asked, please feel free. Everybody good with that?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
All right. Coach Sanders, we're going to go with you first, okay? And just talk about some practical tips here. What's the best advice that you've received about end-of-year evaluations, and how has it shaped your approach?
One of the things that somebody told me was, don't be afraid to ask the kids, ask them for anything, like anything that they think might make the program better, or anything that they might need. And and this is a really funny story. When I asked that question for the first time, one of my players said, Coach, I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but something that we really, really, really want in the locker room is hand towels to dry our hands with, like paper towels instead of the air dryers, right? And so, like within
That's
3 weeks, I was able to get paper towels, and you would have thought that I gave him a gold medal. I would say one of the pieces of advice I got was ask your kids anything, like for anything that might make them happy, make the program better. So I did, and I tell them when the kids come in for their exit interviews, I interview them all. I start with seniors, and I ask them for anything. And I tell them, I'm like, tell me anything, doesn't matter. And so I get kind of unusual responses sometimes, but one of the things in particular, I guess I ask them for is, as a senior, are there any landmines I need to be looking out for next year? Things that they might know about in the locker room that now as a graduating senior, they can maybe speak more freely about.
Yeah.
But I would just say, the biggest thing is just having open and honest conversations with them. I call them in one at a time by grade. We go from senior down to freshman, and just ask them for really honest conversation and tell them that nothing leaves the room.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you so much. That's a super, super story. I've got something similar, the leadership council stuff. I was like, hey guys, what do we need, man? What am I missing here? And one of them said, very similar to what you said, Coach, can we get soap in the soap dispenser? We have been out of soap for a month. And I was like, oh my God. So
it's so weird. Like those little things. I'm like, yeah, I mean, the paper towels were like a game changer for us.
Come on. Awesome. All right. Coach Lucas, for coaches just starting to implement structured exit interviews, what are some do's and don'ts?
Well, I haven't always done this. Somebody brought it to my attention, and I don't remember how long we've been doing it. Now we've been doing it for quite a while, and I think it's a program to get feedback. I love what Coach Sanders said about the honesty. That's one of the first things I do when I bring the kids in here is try to tell them how important it is that they're not going to hurt my feelings, that I need to know the truth, that they need to feel comfortable telling me anything because that's the only way we're going to grow. I said, we talk all the time about doing hard things. And so I need you to tell me the truth. I think, for a young coach, it gives you, if you do get those honest answers, I think it helps you see where your program is. And, one of the things, two of the questions we ask our kids is, what do we do that you wish we did less of? And what do we do that you wish we did more of? And, we get the typical answers sometimes. Oh, I wish we didn't run so much because they don't like to run or whatever, And then I'll say, really, do you really think that's possible? Probably not, but I wish we did less of it. You asked me what I wish we did. And then the thing that's really surprised me about the things that they wish we did more of that I think kids are craving these days is my number one answer is things away from the field house. They want to do team bonding activities, get together, eat dinner together, go on a camp out, go bowling together, go to movies together, whatever it is that we do occasionally as a team. That's the things that they crave. And so that's great feedback, especially if you weren't aware of those things, it really helps you. The other impactful question I think that we have that I love is which staff member has had the biggest impact on you and why. And to hear those kids, sometimes they get emotional talking about it. And it's really then when I'm able to go share that with those coaches, because I take really good notes as they're talking to me and be able to share that with those guys, I think it's pretty powerful.
Coach Sanders, do you have anything? Absolutely.
I just wanted to chime in a little bit on that. Whenever you said about having hard conversations and building on the honesty piece. So my daughter plays for me and she's a sophomore and she was on varsity as a freshman. So this is her second year on varsity. And we had she said something that she shouldn't have at some point, along the way. And I feel like I have good intuition, and I knew something was amiss. And so I called in at the end of the year, I talked to these two seniors in particular that happened to be very good friends with my daughter, but who were my captains. And in that conversation, I said, I need for you guys to be totally honest. I don't care that she's my daughter. I said, I'm harder on her than anybody else. And I need that honest feedback. And they gave it to me. And just to your point, Coach Lucas, I mean, that's a hard conversation for those kids, I think, to have, but they were honest with me, and my daughter was able to grow from that. And as a coach, I try really hard to treat her the same. And so that was a really, really important one for me. And when you said doing hard things, that those conversations sometimes can be hard. And that one was a really hard one. But I think if you don't have them and your kids aren't willing to have them with you, then you can't grow.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And just one more reason why the kids need to be involved in athletics or some form of extracurricular, because they learn how to handle hard things and have hard conversations.
Yeah.
That's great. You guys are doing awesome, man. I'm taking notes, so I'm sorry that I'm going a little slow here. Okay. I'm going to pin you down, Coach Sanders. You said ask them anything. What questions do you prioritize when conducting these exit interviews?
So I think, I think the biggest thing is we ask, what was your favorite part of the season and why? What could coaches have done differently that would maybe have made something better for you? And then what was your least favorite and why? I mean, I think those are the things that I want to know. They're not always easy to hear. But I think those would be the questions that we prioritize. What's good? What's bad? How do we make it better?
Awesome. I appreciate you guys sharing that. Coach Lucas, can you share an example of a time when feedback from a departing athlete significantly influenced a change in your coaching philosophy or your program structure?
Yeah, I've always, my personality is kind of like, well, if it's good, if a little bit's good, then more is going to be better, and if we're not strong enough, then we need to lift more. We got to get more. We're going to lift before school. We're going to do something during the period. We're going to have after school, and you got to be here. It's got to be heavy, and you got to be going, and we're pushing these kids, and one of our kids on the way out just said, Coach, it's a lot. You really got to be committed. You really got to love what we're doing to be here. And maybe we lost some guys because of that. We start early in the morning. We lift at 6:30 in the morning, and so actually it's this year that we've kind of backed off of that a little bit. I've got a good strength coach that's he's convinced me to try something new, and we're not going to lift before school in the mornings. And we're going to get that done during our athletic period and be really intentional and focused on what we're doing. And, I'm trusting that of course, he's built like a Greek god, so I don't know why I wouldn't listen to him. These young guys, they're pretty smart on some of that stuff. I've been doing it a long time. Some of my ways are probably in the past anyway. And so I'm embracing that. But part of the reason I'm open to that is because we got some feedback from some kids that said, Coach, it's a lot. What we're doing is a lot. We're asking a lot. And I think we might have lost some guys because it overwhelmed them. And so we listened to that, and we're trying to make some adapt to that.
That's awesome, Coach. I appreciate you sharing that. Coach Sanders, do you have anything that you would like to add there? Or?
No, I'm grateful because Coach Lucas, I have a strength coach that works alongside me right now too, and she took over things 2 years ago, and same, we're not in there as much, and everything is very streamlined and productive, and I'm grateful.
It's hard to turn loose sometimes, if
Yeah.
you've been responsible for that and you're worried.
Yes.
Well, is it going to work? I don't know.
Yes.
It all comes back to me at some point. So
Yeah.
it's hard to turn loose.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Hey, let's turn the page and let's talk about our athletes that are coming back to us. How do you involve returning athletes, Coach Sanders, in setting goals and shaping the team's culture for the upcoming year?
So when we in our exit interviews with those kids, we ask them, what are your goals for next year? Your personal goals, your team goals. What can, because obviously we want to help them achieve those goals. We talk to them about if there's kids, for us, it's different in the volleyball world. The club volleyball world, they're doing so much outside, and there's so many opportunities, and kids at this level can get left behind if they're not involved. And so if kids have some goals, and maybe they can't afford, or they can't get that route, we try to provide another opportunity for them, or help, or we we talk to them about what we have a theme every year, and we talk to them about it may not come right away, but if you look at our goals, what's going to get us there? What's a slogan? What's something that's going to carry us that way? Because once we get a theme going, they love it, and they love building upon it. Of course, their parents love building upon that theme, and so we try to get them involved in that. We talk to them. Some years we need to be in a gym more. Some years we need to be in the weight room more. Fortunately, that strength coach is helping me find a happy medium there, and just really get their outlook on it. And generally speaking, they're right on target. They see it too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Coach Lucas, anything that?
Yeah, well, with this exit interview for us is from football season. We spend a lot of time in off season setting personal goals and setting
Right.
Weight goals and state goals and all those kind of things. But as far as our exit interview from football, it's a specific question about if they're coming back. How do you see your role next year? And I'm always anxious to hear their role, because sometimes kids don't understand their own abilities or whatever. And last year we had a kid that he was going to be a senior, one of our very best kids on our leadership council, one of our best kids in our program as far as character and work ethic and all that, just not very talented. And in his exit interview as a junior, he said, "Coach, I want to be an awesome scout team player. I want to find a role on special teams. And I know I'm probably not going to be a starter, very often at all, but I just want to be a part of this team." And to hear that in the exit interview, knowing where his heart is, man, it just makes you love him even more. So I think it helps you see where the kids see themselves. And then sometimes you get the opposite reaction. A kid, wants to be an all-state player, and they might be in the same situation that other kid was that just didn't have that ability. But we don't want to just discourage anybody, but we do talk about realistic goals in there. But it's more about their role on the football team for the coming year.
That's awesome. We asked that question too, and you're right. I mean, it's so interesting. Like, some of them you get, and you're like,
We need to talk about
this. But again, maybe just helping them navigate that role. Like, okay, well, let's look at the depth chart. Let's.
Yeah, let's put all the strength numbers up here and the speed numbers up here.
Yeah.
And let's see where you rank on that list.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, I kind of want to turn and let's talk about coaches, staff, interviews, exit interviews with the coaching staff if you actually do that. Okay. What are some of the less obvious but critical areas you evaluate at the end of the season that can impact next year's success?
I always ask them how they rate their ability to evaluate players' strengths and weaknesses, because I think I have in my mind where they're at in that area, and so I always think that's an interesting one of how they evaluate themselves on evaluating talent, and so those are interesting conversations to have. I think that's the most interesting one that I ask them.
We have a document that we use, and it's called the Pillars of Success. And so it is what we as head coaches, as coordinators, we use to evaluate our head coaches, and then our head coaches use it to evaluate their assistants. And I will tell you that for me, what I do is I don't evaluate them first. I send that document to them and I have them evaluate themselves. And so I always think that is really interesting when it comes back. And obviously, I don't have the numbers on staff that you do as a football coach, but of my 3 or 4, I think it's really interesting to see how they view themselves, and then to compare their, what one thinks about themselves, herself, and the other one. And then I would think maybe the opposite in terms of, work ethic and, and things like that. But I think that for me is one of the most important, is I give that document to them before I ever evaluate them. And to see how that, that comes back. It's interesting.
Yeah,
That is interesting.
I do the same thing. I send it. Matter of fact, I'm starting to get them back now. So I send them out to them, and then they have to schedule a time with me, and we just go over that document. Is what we do.
Same.
And so, it is interesting to see how they rate themselves. I don't do it ahead of time and share that with them. I let them do that themselves, and then we just have an open discussion about it in my office.
I do the exact same thing. I'll just go through and I'm like, you saw yourself here, and I see yourself. You didn't give yourself enough credit, or you're maybe like, look at how you compare to this one.
Yeah, right. Oh, exactly.
That's awesome, guys. That is great stuff. Do you have your coaches evaluate the season? Like, do you have a tool where you let them evaluate whatever side of the ball that they were on or whatever they were in charge of, and give them a way to talk to you about that?
Yeah. So when I send it out to them, I try to list everything I can think of about our program, and I just ask them to rate it on a scale, and then ask them to give some kind of comment. And I mean, I'm just looking at it right here. I mean, I have total program, offense, defense, special teams, strength conditioning, practice schedule, game day schedule, scouting schedule, our weekend schedule, sub-varsity teams, booster club, academics, character education, college recruiting, injury prevention, facilities, community relations, technology, player intangibles. And I just ask them to rate how our program rates on all those and why they think that. And then I have some specific questions about, like I mentioned a while ago, how do you feel like you rate players' strengths and weaknesses? But I do have some program questions in there so that they can respond and give and support or defend whatever they choose to mark on there.
That's awesome, Coach.
Similar, in that pillars thing, there's also program questions, and I think it's important to include those because I think that it gives your assistants ownership in what you're doing. If they feel like they get to respond with maybe their individual team and how they did, but then you also give them opportunity to give feedback on the total program, that it just gives them more ownership. And as we all know, if your coaches have ownership in what you're doing, you're going to get the most out of them, and that's only going to benefit your total program.
Yeah, that's awesome. Coach Lucas, I'm gonna have to reach out to you and get some of that stuff. Whenever I do our program eval, it's really just kind of X's and O's and not so much the periphery stuff that you were talking about. So that's awesome. It's really good. How about this, Coach Sanders? How do you balance reflection on the past season with the need to quickly start planning for the next one?
Oh my gosh. So funny. I mean, we lost our playoff game and this year, and the next morning, my husband, as I was walking out the door, said, "Well, you going to start working on your new lineups, for next year?" And he wasn't wrong. By the end of the day, I've got the depth chart out and I'm looking, and I think closure on a season is really important. Our banquet is next week, and I'm sad to see some of those seniors go, but I'm also at the same time happy to kind of wrap that up, and we'll tie a ribbon on it and close it out, because as you guys know, I mean, you're already working on the next year, and until you close out the one, it's kind of hard to do. I think that for us, once we finish playoffs, fortunately for us here, it's always been, the tournament is that weekend before Thanksgiving, and we usually go 3 or 4 rounds, which is a tribute to our kids. We get to take a week and a half off, and then they have Thanksgiving off, and then we kind of come back and work slowly into Christmas, and it allows us to ease back into things and have that time to sit down and evaluate and put the bow on the previous season and start working toward the other one. But I guess time heals the playoff losses, I think if you're a coach, you're already thinking about the next one. How do we go further? How do we do more? So I don't know.
I needed to hear that, Coach. I really needed to hear that this year. That just touched my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, good. I'm not the only knucklehead out
the only
there.
one.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, I got you. Coach Lucas, how about you, sir?
Well, I think sometimes it depends on how you finish your year. I've had years where, we got beat in week 11 or week 12, first or second round of the playoffs, and we felt like we overachieved. Maybe we weren't even supposed to get that far, and it just takes this momentum into off season. You can't wait to get started, and you're again, you're pushing. And then when you have a season, which I feel like we just got through with, that we kind of underachieved to finish the year, and you're disappointed and you're questioning, man, where did we go wrong? What's the problem? And it's hard to get motivated. And so you're a little slower in that. It's harder to put that season to bed when you've got all these questions. And so then these exit interviews even become more important, because maybe you can flesh out where's the problem? Where did the breakdown happen? Why did we not reach our potential when we all felt like we were going in the right direction? So I think some years it's an easier transition when everything goes well. And that's what we spend a whole lot of our time teaching our kids. How are we going to respond when things don't go well? And, it's real easy to talk about until you're having to deal with it. And, it's not a lesson, the old Mike Tyson saying, everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. So, I think sometimes that transition kind of depends on how that season ends up. Each team has its own personality, and sometimes they just hurt worse. If you have a team that overachieves and you had a bunch of overachievers, and man, you leave that season feeling so good and you can't wait to get started on the next one. And then if the opposite happens, it's just kind of a struggle to get going. But usually do. We're a couple of weeks away now, and it's starting to. The sun seems a little bit brighter in the mornings and all that kind of stuff for me, because it was pretty dark there for a few weeks.
Absolutely. Coach Sanders, you want to add anything?
No, I mean, I think that's such a great point about it really does depend, because it truly does. I mean, it's different every year. You are totally correct, Coach Lucas.
Yeah. Well, guys, that was a tremendous session. I just appreciate your honesty and your candor and your expertise. I got better. I know that. So we're going to hand this thing back to Chris. And where do we go from here, brother?
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you, Coach Sanders. Thank you, Coach Lucas. And of course, Coach Snelson. Yeah, just great stuff. Great information.
Thank you guys for having us. Coach Snelson, it's always good to talk to you.
Absolutely, brother.
I'll look forward to seeing you in person sometime, meeting you.
Yes, ma'am.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Likewise.
Hey, of course, I want to thank our guest, but I also want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me what I consider the most valuable thing you can give, your time and your attention. And I know you don't do it to hear me. You do it for the great messages provided by the THSCA. And hey, if you'd like to associate your company with the THSCA and the Coach's Call podcast, limited sponsorship opportunities are available. You can reach out to me, Chris Daly, 713-269-4620, or head over to my website, freshmediaworks.com. Once again, thank you so much for supporting Texas high school coaches. Please share this show out to everybody you can so that we can help share these important messages. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on The Coach's Call. The interviews in this show are brought to you by the Texas High School Coaches Association. THSCA provides to its more than 26,000 members access to the people, events, tools, and resources to help them thrive in the profession, become trusted leaders in their communities, and live balanced and successful lives. The work and sacrifice coaches do every day is vital to the development and success of student athletes. The THSCA supports these efforts. We fight for every coach, provide them with the connections and resources to improve their lives, and help all student athletes throughout the state enjoy lasting success. The mission statement is simply this: to help and serve Texas high school coaches as they work to help and serve student athletes. Helping coaches help kids. For more information on the THSCA, visit www.thsca.com.